Hey guys, welcome back. I know we got another video today, but I just wanted to make a follow-up. There's a lot of controversy over the fact that people want to believe that the Fusion Strike theft, that it impacted hit rates, that the Pokemon Company is hiding something, that I'm hiding something, that I'm getting paid somehow, some way. So we now have another piece of information with story that lines up exactly with what we saw in the last two videos. So again, I don't have many doubts when everyone from every angle is sort of telling the same story. Usually that's a pretty good sign that that's exactly what's going on. So we're going to go through here. I can't believe it. I didn't think it would ever happen, but the Pokemon Company themselves has made a statement to Kotaku. We have the article here from Ethan Gach, and we're gonna, my apologies if I pronounced that wrong, as always, but we're gonna read through here, and we're gonna see what the Pokemon Company had to say. It's a brief statement, but it's crazy to me that they even made a statement on this whatsoever. I guess it blew up. It's big enough to the point that someone had to, just to reassure people that that's what's going on. That nothing was harmed. Your product wasn't harmed. Yes, they've messed up product many times. Fusion Strike had some the God boxes that came to Canada that definitely were not intentional, and they just messed them up. How they messed them up, not totally sure. Probably that same like seeding hopper process where they put the cards into the packs. If they loaded the wrong things into the wrong places, that could happen. But as we discussed, and as we'll see here, it's just very unlikely that anything happened at that stage. The wrongdoing would have happened at that stage. Just the sheer amount of cards that were stolen, we only saw a fraction of them. So people were blown away, and rightfully so. They should be blown away by the amount of cards that were on that table, in that table photo, the amount of Mew VMAXs that were shuffled through. I'll have the other two videos if you want to watch those before watching this one to get a little bit more context about what we went through. But yeah, we got to get through the article here. So we have, this may be the biggest Pokemon card theft in history, and it's causing drama. So I don't know if it's the biggest theft in history, but it's definitely up there. It's big. It's big time. In terms of, especially like from the print facility. So we have, it says, it certainly looks like someone might have stolen a bunch of rare Fusion Strike cards from the Pokemon Company. According to evidence surfacing from a Dallas-based Pokemon trading card community, the alleged thief tried to sell them to a local shop, only to be turned over to the Pokemon Company, and the store is calling the largest return of stolen property to date in the trading card game's history. So there was a lot of misconception here that the store bought them. The store did not buy them. And the person that sent them to the store was not the thief. They were someone that purchased from the thief, and were instructed to send them to the store so that they could be picked up by investigators. That's what happened there. So just in case that's not clear, no one showed up in person with these giant boxes full of cards. I have heard some other stuff, and I hope that if anyone has additional information in terms of if people got a hold of some of these or were selling them, selling stolen cards, particularly on Whatnot, I heard there were a few people still looking into that. But in terms of the thief that was stealing from here, that is, it's one and done. It's done. Hopefully nothing like this happens again. Hopefully every time something, I mean, it's happened several times that sets that weren't released have been stolen from the factory. They end up graded at CGC, whatever, sold for a big premium because everyone wants to have the first one, apparently. I don't quite understand that because the value of it's going to drop. I guess maybe if you put it in that special inadvertent early release CGC case, then you don't have to worry about that. You can have a special card for the rest of its, as long as it's contained within that. All right. Details of the apparent heist began spilling out of the closed Pokemon World Facebook group onto Reddit over the weekend. So yeah, it was in the Facebook group, but it was I think it was in private DMs before that, or some kind of group DMs or something like that, prior to the Facebook post, prior to where it ended up on Reddit. A photo showing stacks of valuable Fusion Strike cards from full art trainers all the way up to VMAX Mews, Espeons, and Gengars covering the table quickly blew up on our Pokemon TCG. Saw this on a Facebook group, Reddit poster. Guava Wave wrote on April 15th, allegedly printing company worker stole hits off the line and tried to offload them to an LGS. So off the line is kind of like, it's not one solid process. Again, I don't work there. I've only heard from people that have worked there exactly what goes on in the process of start to finish, but it's very separate steps here. And again, as I said from the start, like the odds of it being at that last step before it goes into the booster boxes where the bad things were happening is slim to none. There are accidents that are made there, but I get that these criminals are not exactly smart, but that would not even be close to an ideal or even what I would say possible area where you could steal these things. Like you got the boxes right there where you're loading them in, and they got caught. From anyone and everyone that I've seen, and as we'll see in the Pokemon statement that's coming up in this article, they're all saying that none of that was impacted, that they had to reprint the cards, that they had to seize the cards from the thief or the people that the thief sold to, and then basically obtain the cards, which they say they have obtained most of them, and destroy them. So that's where we are on that. Again, I'm going to push the fact that like you should be very concerned, but concerned for a different reason. Because if they didn't seize those cards, even if the person was prosecuted, if they didn't seize those cards, this is a potential for someone to absolutely ruin the value of the hits from the set. That's basically what it comes down to. So that, again, that's pretty much stealing from anyone that paid MSRP for a pack. And whether you pulled the cards or not, the value of the pack, the value of the cards that you did pull, if someone just dumps this much onto the market, especially all at once, it's not something that it's going to impact it in some way. And that's why people should be upset, not the fact that the packs were rigged. I don't believe for a second that the packs were rigged. Again, it's a nasty set. Fusion Strike, Evolving Skies, all of that stuff it's gigantic. There's a ton of different hits that you can get in those top areas. So to be able to pull a Moonbryon, if it's 1 in 1600, to be able to pull a Mew, I think they show some of the pull rates down below, but we got to take those with a grain of salt. Again, remember guys, when it's saying like a sample size of 4,000 packs or something like that, it's not big enough. It's not even close to big enough to show the individual pull rates for any individual card in the set. So, and that's kind of where we get into weird things going on. When a set is that big, that complicated, and you have stuff that's that hard to pull, not only does it attract criminals because, you know what, the value of the cards is so much that they're working at a facility. Maybe clearly they're not thinking when they decide to steal all of this. And then especially when, if they're buying stolen stuff, I guess this is the person that was buying stolen stuff, trying to sell it to a game store, thinking that like the game store is going to work with them. It's crazy. Greedy and crazy. But I mean, that's criminal activity for you. All right. Now we have the next day, Guava Wave returned with a post of a statement from Trading Card World TCW, the card shop the alleged thief seemingly tried to sell the cards to. That is correct. TCW said it had immediately been suspicious of the haul, believing the only way someone could have such a concentrated number of rare cards from one set by making counterfeits or stealing them. When questioned, the seller apparently revealed that they worked for a Pokemon card printing company. I didn't hear this part of the story, and I don't think that's how it went. Because the person that shipped these, they shipped them. They weren't the person that actually stole them. So unless it was someone that also worked for a printing company, could coincidentally, but I think I think that's wrong. I could be wrong. Maybe my information is wrong on that, but I'm quite certain that the person that sent these in from any source that I've heard from was not the original thief. And that this was not the entirety of what was actually obtained or seized. TCW says it immediately informed the Pokemon Company, which performed its own investigation and recovered the stolen cards. Okay. That's pretty awesome. And we kind of know all about this, but there's kind of a little point that's missing here, that the cards were shipped there because the person that was trying to sell them to the game store was told and was sort of given an ultimatum of, hey, you got to send these in here or you're going to be in big trouble. And this is kind of how it works every time, all the time. The person that sold the cards to the person that was trying to sell them to the game store, they're going to get, it's going to be like a rat chain of like, I got to survive here. I'm in trouble and I'm especially in trouble if I don't provide the source from where I purchased the cards. So it's gonna chain back. There's transactions that were made. There's no like mysterious person that's gonna get away with selling a bunch of. There's a transaction, and if there isn't a transaction, then the person that purchased them is gonna have some serious explaining to do. It's gonna be traced back to the original person that stole it. Not to mention the fact that like the sheer amount that was stolen. There's no way that they thought that they weren't going to notice that many cards missing. Like, you would have to have everyone in the facility basically in on it, and that's just not possible. Mostly because all the people that work at the print facility, and as we've seen now, like the person's been prosecuted, but the thief, but you can get yourself in so much trouble even just being associated with that. Like, there's no way that you're getting everyone on board to rob this thing. You have a contract with the Pokemon Company, and now the Pokemon Company owns the print facility. It's just all around bad. I don't know, guys. We've seen it time and time again. Hopefully, every time that something like this happens, they are beefing up more and more with the security, the process. I'm sure they are. If not, I would be very surprised. So then we have Trading Card World has asked to keep this information confidential while an active investigation was underway. With respect to that request, TCW has kept this story and their important involvement out of the spotlight. So maybe TCW was not updated, but the investigation has been completed. That's to my understanding. It's a wrap. Whether that's what people want to hear or not, it would be nice to get something from Pokemon if they're going to make a statement to basically reassure people that the security has been beefed up. This is going to happen again. You guys don't have to worry about this, because it sucks for collectors to know that like something like this could ruin the value of their collection, even if you're not somebody that is necessarily looking to resell. It's still nice to know that whatever you're putting your money into will retain value. Whether or not you're going to, one day give it to your kids, maybe one day you want to sell it off and do something else with it. Maybe you want to sell it and buy a house. Who knows what you want to do with the money at some point. I mean, it's your property. And that's the thing. So if you have extra cards, maybe you want to collect something different. Maybe you want to collect different cards. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're a Flip Master 69. There is times where people end up having to sell or wanting to sell. And it's good that to be in the hobby and to know that at least your collection has some sort of value and retains some sort of value to it. And not have to worry about like a Gold Star Dog incident with Card House EU happening. This might have been the end of the story, except that collectors and fans have long accused Fusion Strike, a 2021 expansion, of having some of the worst pull rates in modern Pokemon card history. So that's the thing. We got the trainer galleries, and then all of a sudden, whoop-de-doo, super duper, it basically doubles your rate of pulling something like a V or better if you include the trainer gallery hits. So if you look at any of those sets, if you go back and open any of those sets, and when you got to open 6 packs to get a V card, because that's basically what the hit rates are. It's close to 1 in 6 packs to get a V or better. So it's easy when you're opening a handful of cards or a handful of packs. If you open an ETB, for example, maybe you get 1 V, or you get really unlucky and you don't get any because it's only 8 packs. It can happen. It can definitely happen. And people are like, what, ETBs suck, or like 3-pack blisters. They'll open one 3-pack blister, and it can very well contain some big hits. I think my Fusion Strike ETB on release day, just because my other product was late, I went and bought one locally. It had the Espeon VMAX in it. But not every ETB is going to have a big hit in it. It's just luck. And it comes down to, if you don't have a giant sample size, you're not going to see that. It's very hard to see. So then we have like speculation, and it's going to be the same thing here. So now when we look back at early Sword and Shield sets, because it was so hard to get a pull out of them, like your 1 in 6, people didn't really consider hollows as a hit. Even though way back in the day the hollows were a hit, now it's like a V or better as a hit. And even then, usually people are not very impressed or don't really care whether they get a V or not. They're looking for full arts, and then sometimes they're just like, at this point, people are mostly, if I'm not getting an alt art out of my booster box, it's pull rates suck, mean wiener babies. So, all right, some rare cards like alternate art VMAX Mew were estimated to be up to 4 times harder to get than most sought after cards from the recent expansions. So we're going to take a look at that. I don't believe this data. It sucks. It's not a big enough sample size for the size of the set that we have. The data was anecdotal at best, but it became established wisdom among some in the community. It all came amidst the game's post-COVID explosion, a period in which the Pokemon Company couldn't print new cards fast enough to keep up with the demand. So there was that too. So I find it very hard to believe that the Mew is that much harder to pull than the Espeon VMAX. I would think that maybe the VMAXs are harder to pull. But we got data from over 4,000 Fusion Strike booster packs, which is just not enough. If it was one of the previous sets, okay, wait, I gotta make sure that I have that on screen. Data from over 4,000 Fusion Strike booster packs. So grain of salt, super duper grain of salt. We're gonna get up to like 4,000. I don't want to say, we're gonna get up to 4,000 Evolving Skies packs here pretty soon on the Moonbryon hunt. And that's the thing. If you got something that's like 1 in 2,000, or maybe it's 1 in 1,600 or something like that, 4,000 is not a big enough sample size to know what these individual card pull rates are. So can you say how often you pull an alt art? Yes. Can you say how often you pull a rainbow card? Sure. Stuff like that. Yes, the type of card with 4,000 packs, you get a pretty good idea of what's going on there. You can get a pretty good idea of like how many hits you get per, or what the percentage is that you get a hit out of a pack. But nonetheless. All right, we got to get moving here. We got a big article. This is why, following the discovery of a possible Fusion Strike mega theft, a few fans and collectors have blamed it for why the set's pull rates had been so bad. While there's no evidence that these stolen cards deprived some booster packs of rares they might have otherwise contained, some initially took it as vindication of long-held suspicions. One player on the subreddit suggested it doesn't even matter. Either the bad pull rates were on purpose or influenced by the alleged heist. Either way, the damage is done. The Pokemon Company and Trading Card World did not immediately respond to requests for comment. I mean, I'm kind of surprised that anyone replied at all from Nintendo or from the Pokemon Company. But yeah. Right, update 4/19/2023, 4:08 p.m. Eastern Time. A spokesperson for the Pokemon Company told Kotaku there is no indication that the packs were tampered with and that the Fusion Strike set included all of the rare cards it was supposed to. It's still investigating the theft itself, however, and declined to comment on the details of it for now. Here's the full statement. So here I would say, like, the investigation, maybe they're making changes. And if they're taking any sort of legal action, then that's all stuff that they're not necessarily going to disclose. I'm very surprised that they said anything, but here it is. You guys have been waiting for it. I know this is another long video, but I want to make sure that we have all the details here. And we go through it in its full, because if you didn't watch the previous video, if you weren't paying attention in the previous video, we need to get all of the info, all of it. It's important. My apologies that we're not going to, it's not a 30-second poker rap here, but here's the statement from the Pokemon Company. Whew. We take the protection of our IP and associated products very seriously. They sure do. everything Nintendo does. This matter remains under investigation, and we cannot comment on details at this time. However, we can confirm that Sword and Shield booster packs and products were shipped to retail as intended, and we have no indication that the integrity of the products were impacted by any confirmed or unconfirmed theft. Furthermore, we continue to significantly invest in both the production and security of our TCG business. We value the faith our fans put in us and our products, and these investments are intended to help us continue to maintain their trust. So, yeah, I think we got a bold statement. I didn't expect any statement, so the fact that they said anything to Kotaku is kind of a surprise to me. But yeah, they're pretty much telling us what we knew, what we heard from all the other sources. We have now one additional source, being the Pokemon Company themselves, who is saying that yes, nothing was impacted. Is it in their best interest that nothing was impacted? Yes, but at the same time, if they're saying they caught it, and if it comes back in any way that they didn't catch it, that if there's somebody else comes out, if I can get a hold of any of the people that were firsthand, whether we can talk to the thief or not, I would imagine that their lawyer would tell them not to talk to me. But if they would like to talk to me, we'll definitely hear them out and see exactly what happened. I'm sure they're filled with a regret at this point in time, and they should be. I mean, it was pretty stupid of them, and this is an absolute mess. But hopefully that clears things up a little bit more, and at least where Kotaku can say that it came directly from the Pokemon Company. I mean, it's not a direct name or source, and whether or not they're allowed to disclose that is a different story. But again, we have every direction is kind of pointing towards the same thing happening here. Is it scary? Yes, absolutely scary. I don't want to see modern Pokemon cards, chase cards, sets or whatever tank. Regardless, I'm not going to be selling my individual my cards, my sets. But at the same time, I still want them to retain value. It still sucks for anyone involved that owns any of the cards to see that many of them just slapped on a table. It sucks for the people that didn't pull the cards to see them on the table, and maybe they think that that's why they're on the table, because they should have been in their packs. Unlikely, guys. Unfortunate, unlikely. But yeah, the Pokemon Company, you need to crack down on this. We need eyes in the skies. The print facility. Hopefully now that they own it. Hopefully now that we're gonna have somebody else that is prosecuted. That it's a learning lesson. Security's beefed up, and we don't see more of this stuff going on. But this is the danger of it. This is why, guys, I said, don't encourage people. Don't buy stolen product. You got stupid Poketubers. We'll put it at the end here. The stupid Poketubers that are buying stolen goods. This is why they shouldn't buy stolen goods, because it turns into this. It gets worse and worse, and someone ruined their life. Potentially multiple people ruin their lives over this, and you're aiding in that if you buy stolen goods. So that's it. That's all. Needed a quick update here. It wasn't a quick one. We went through the whole article, but join the Discord. Love you guys. See you next time. Bye.